Hello, I'm Pastor Dave McElwee, the pastor of New Life, a Global Methodist church in State College. And this is our sermon recap to refresh your memory of yesterday's message, but also to help in answering those next step questions as you seek to apply the message to your life in the coming week. Now, our message came from the Gospel of John, chapter 21, verses 1 through 14. And this is John's account of Jesus' appearance to the disciples along the Sea of Galilee, and also in which he proves the bodily resurrection itself. And these are the main takeaways from the sermon. One of the things we have to deal with when it comes to Easter is making sense of the resurrection. Now, starting with the first Easter, people have denied it, they've questioned it, they've doubted it, and they try to understand what God has done. And I say this just to remind us that people have always had questions about the resurrection. Some try to figure out what God has done, and some try to use reason and logic to prove definitively what was done or not done. And it's not that reason and logic are bad, but it has been known to happen where people use logic and reason to deny the bodily resurrection by saying it was just a spiritual resurrection or Jesus just appeared to them in visions. But the witnesses to the events themselves, the apostles, had always stated that it was a bodily resurrection. Jesus was physically there. His wounds were still present. And when we look at this passage from the Gospel of John, we see some of the proofs of the bodily resurrection. And one of the ways we first see this is that Jesus could see things in the physical world. I don't know about anyone else, but I kind of would say to see things in the physical world, you need eyes. This is a way of saying that Jesus could see what was happening. He was physically there. He could see the shoal. He could see where the fish were at to tell the apostles that that is where they needed to drop their nets. And this is one of the things they have done to prove the bodily resurrection. But it wasn't just that Jesus could see, it was also the fact that Jesus could interact with the physical world. Now, you can make cases for this being able to happen in different ways, but we see this in when the disciples came on shore, Jesus had already started a fire and was cooking fish. He had to collect the materials to start a fire. He had to start a fire, which at that time meant friction. And to prepare the food, he had to interact with it and cut it and interact with something to cut it. These are physical actions that Jesus had already done with no disciples there to do it for him. And again, this leads us to say there is a bodily resurrection. But the third part is a bit more important to this in the fact that Jesus cooked and ate food. Being physically there, he still would need to eat. And even when we look at modern media portrayals of spirits and ghosts, typically when it comes to eating, they don't eat. It doesn't make sense for something that's just the ether to consume something. Typically it would just pass down through them. They don't need it and there's no pleasure in it. But here, Jesus physically ate. Now, we can look at this and question why any of this even matters in the first place. But it is important for us because it does fulfill the prophecies that he would rise from the grave. And this is important for us as we look and see that God's prophecies were fulfilled. And through these actions, Jesus demonstrated to the deniers and the doubters that he physically rose from the dead. Now, this is not about having a big doctrinal debate or defending doctrine. This is more about the statement of faith that God fulfills his promises, and a reminder that God can truly do anything. So there you go. Hopefully this helped refresh your memory of the sermon. If you would like, you can go back over the sermon by going on the YouTube page when the sermon comes up, or going back on Facebook, assuming we had no issues with the stream. But, as a reminder, moving forward, We continue to worship at 10 a.m. at the Center Learning Community Charter School in State College at 2643 West College Avenue. We stream on Facebook, we post on YouTube, and we're always coming up with new ways of trying to spread the good news. But until next time, I'm Pastor Dave, and I hope you find a way of applying God's Word into your life this week.